Thank you so much. Have you ever wondered what the heck is Akashic? What does that mean? And what is the Akashic Records all about? And how do you access this information or this realm of the Akashic Records? Well, we're going to be discussing all that and all that and all more about the Akashic Records. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We so appreciate it. You know, we go live every single 12 p.m. Eastern time. That's 9 a.m. Pacific time, every single Friday, right here on the Akashic page. And if you've been tuned into the page sometime, you know that this page is full of great shows, great content. I mean, we started this page off and this network. I think we had like a couple thousand people connected with this page, maybe at the beginning of the year. 1,500 people. We've got over 6,000 people now connected with the Akashic Academy. And it's truly just a reflection of the great work and the community that's growing here. So if you're curious about the Akashic Records and what it feels like and what it means to be able to read your Akashic Records, then you're absolutely going to love this show. Look, my name is Coach Nick. Thank you guys so much once again for tuning in. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that love button, send some of those bubbles across the screen. We appreciate that. You know, every single week I get to hang out with this, with my partner here, with this, I don't know, like, how do I introduce you? With this person. I get to hang out with this person here. I get to hang out with your founder and your director here at the Akashic Academy, Miss Emily Harrison. Emily has been a wonderful friend of mine. You know, we get to build this business together. We get to build this academy together, and we really get to share in each other's lives. We get to have wonderful conversations on spiritual discussions, philosophical discussions, but also just everyday life stuff, what's going on in our personal lives. And we really hold the space for each other to learn, to grow, and to expand. And I think, you know, as Emily, you said before, our dynamic, our relationship has really also been able to create the model for all relationships inside the academy, an open place, a space of learning, growth, acceptance, and cheering each other on as we go through our individual things and as we go through our collective things, which is beautiful because that's the way the world works. So thank you so much, Emily, for teaching us all how to read our records. I'm going through your process right now. So I bow to you, teacher, of going through this process and learning how to read the Akashic Records. So thank you so much for just holding that space and doing all that you do.
Yeah, you bet. This is so fun. And it's so fun to share this process. I'm glad that you're willing to open up a little bit today and share what you're moving through as you're going through this process with our audience. Seriously, I have to say, I was a little bummed out before I came to the meeting this morning, our little pre-production meeting this morning with you, because there's some sad news in the that I caught on Facebook as I was scrolling through to make my puppet, to look for my favorite comment. I saw some sad news this morning. And in my mind, I thought, well, we're going to have to talk about that today. And as soon as we jumped on the call, you were ready to dive in and talk about this process. And you shifted me instantaneously. I'm so excited. Like, my body is vibrating right now because this really is such an incredible experience. So first, let me just thank you, my friend, for being open and vulnerable and sharing this process. And I also want to throw some props back to you because I'm not the only spiritual teacher around here. Truthfully, we're all spiritual teachers. We're all learning and growing from each other, especially inside of this space at the Akashic Academy. I grow from you guys every single day. But this week in particular, I've been singing your praises, my friend, on all of the other places where I do live videos. I've made up another word for our glossary. I said I got bhaktied by Coach Nick because I've been going through a process this week in my own personal. I got bhaktied. With my kids and like really learning and growing as a parent and learning to let go. And it's been a very energetic, emotionally charged process, but you gave me a lot of powerful wisdom and understanding that really helped me to move through the process in a more dynamic way. And I have found myself in appreciation for you while unloading my dishwasher more than once this week, meaning that's just the time, you know, when your mind is kind of floating off and doing whatever it's doing. Probably because my dishes now have become bhakti as well. Right. Thank you. Yeah. I think, I'm in service of my family. And that's the amazing and profound wisdom and seriously how you apply it in your day-to-day life that I get from you, that you remind and that you uphold, not only for me, but for all of our members inside the Akashic Academy, this amazing business that you're building, that we're building, that you're talking about. If you guys are just joining us today, this amazing community that we're talking about, that Coach Nick and I are building, is a space where you can come for $11.11 a month and get access to weekly workshops, one taught by Coach Nick, one taught by myself. And Coach Nick teaches all about mindful living. And that's the practical application of me growing in that area in my life, when I'm doing my dishes and my awareness is coming to the service that I'm being in my life. And that absolutely, completely, I have learned from Coach Nick inside of my workshop every week. As I'm learning and growing, that class is shifting and changing too. I'm bringing through channel transmissions, which are vibrational transmissions that have the ability to shift, change, adjust, up level, anything that's going on in your energy field. And these come from the Galactic Federation of Light. So we're building this space where we're supporting the light workers who are here to build the new earth in growing, expanding, and applying this amazing knowledge that we're becoming more aware of, the spiritual knowledge of oneness in our lives on a day-to-day basis. So if that sounds like something that you want to hang out with us in, drum roll. Go check out the AkashicAcademy.com, you guys. We have a new website and a new member portal that is up and running. This is still a soft launch. It's still phase 1 because Nick and I are making some tweaks and changes to it. But it is a functional site, and it is prepared to get you into the community, to give you free gifts for joining. And we couldn't be more excited today than to share that website news with you guys, and also to talk about the Akashic Records and talk about the expansion that's possible when, man, every single human being on the planet learns to do this particular thing, which is to tune into the space of higher wisdom, knowledge, guidance, clarity, healing. It's really, really profound. All right, so I'm excited to jump in, but first we have to get to our puppet show, because this is such a fun part of our process here. All right, so Coach Nick, your favorite comment from last week. Actually, this was from not last week, but two weeks ago.
That's right. And
ready?
Ready? Drum roll.
1. Oops. Sorry.
Whoa, there we go. And we've got Lisa Beldine. Lisa, you have been puppetized. And Lisa, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about receiving and the active part of receiving. And she said you have to let go and believe that the solution, abundance, goodness is already being sent your way. Absolutely. I really resonated with that comment. And actually, there was more to that comment, but that was kind of the gist of it. And we really just appreciate you tuning in and you participating with us. So thank you so much, Lisa. You have been puppetized.
Nice. All right. So for me, my favorite comment came from Nikki Fox. And Nikki, my colors aren't super vibrant because I was using colored pencils. You can't see all of that light and that aura shining around Nikki. I couldn't even cut you out of the paper. You're like the Kelly Ritchie puppet that we did. There's so much light shining from behind you that I couldn't even, like my air conditioner story. My air conditioner was blowing on the back of my head from my husband's seat, like the seat rest. I didn't even know it. I'm like, ooh, I'm getting a powerful crown activation. And as soon as I said that, it was like my own inner wisdom corrected me and said, there's something blowing on your neck. And I reached back and enough it was. And I thought, all right. But that is a sign to look out for, guys, when you do notice that tingling sensation is happening around your head. There are crown activations. There's energy moving. And when that happens to you, give yourself just a little clap, regardless of if it's a real crown activation. Let me tell you, if your awareness has gone to the fact that you're thinking you're getting a crown activation, you're getting one. It's learning to bring the subtle awarenesses to those energies. And just because you notice that cool energy on the back of your neck or that feeling of them sliding down, you're noticing subtle energy. So you are doing a good job. You are upgrading in your skills and abilities. And laughing at yourself is always a great thing to do too, because that provides a lot of space for growth. Speaking of growth, we have a lot happening here inside the Akashic Academy. I have some new members that came on board with us inside of our soul family, and I wanted to give a shout out to them right now. We've got Brenda Sherman, Terry Archer Major. I did my best to pronounce that in in a good way. And Nancy Louise joining us inside the Akashic Academy as members. And I'm also super excited to announce that I'm working with a new student, Jim Walljasper, inside Learning to Read the Akashic Records. So he's joining this group of students right now who are moving through the process of learning this modality, which I'm super excited to talk about today. And I want to share with you guys the spirit session, A View of the Light, ladies. The ladies who bring that amazing show to you every single Sunday right here at the Akashic Academy Facebook page on our network have a super duper special guest this week. They have Dee Lawrence, who is not only an author and a light worker and someone who is here to shift the planet in a very big way, but she's got a really cool past. She is an actress. She was the mom on E.T., and she's going to be joining the ladies and sharing with all of you guys. So I invite you to mark your calendars, tune in live to that show on Sunday mornings right here on the Akashic Academy Facebook page. And that's going to start at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So make sure that you join us. With no further ado, Coach Nick, you're learning to read the records, my friend.
I am. I'm going through the process myself right now.
You had opened your records for the first time before we got on this show. And it cracked me up a few times, like when you were introducing me and you're like, this.
this
Sorry to remind everybody of your little snafus, but you know what, seriously, what happens and what happened to me in the beginning of this process when I started reading my records is that my damn brain would short circuit a lot. Like I would be in the middle of a thought and literally be like, oh, I don't even really know how to complete that sentence live on air. And if you guys ever go back and check out any of my old stuff, dig up any of my old stuff, it happens a lot because truthfully, we're learning to hold a much higher vibrational frequency in our energy field and in our mind to be able to connect with that space. And it happens a lot. And as soon as I saw it happening to you, it made me giggle because I realized it happens when your body is conducting that higher frequency energy. So let me just shut my mouth and turn it over to you, and you start sharing.
Yeah, I guess so. I opened up my records for the first time this morning. So Emily's got a process to opening up our records and sort of understanding and learning. So there's a few videos and a few modules that we learned first, sort of about the records and how it works. So I opened up my records for the first time this morning, and you know, I've been attuned to different things. I've been trained Reiki, and I've had a profound experience a number of years ago where I really had a big awakening. I went to see a shaman actually, and it was through getting some energy work and healing that I really, you know, was able to clear some of like heavy energies that were with me. And so I felt this feeling before where I'm able to transcend the body, where the body doesn't, I don't feel my own body. I just feel like my light body, we'll call it, right? And feel that aspect of my body. And that's what happened to me this morning. So this morning I was sitting in the space of the Akashic, and my hands were sitting like this, you know, on top of each other. I was in a meditative posture. And then I couldn't feel my hands anymore. And then I couldn't feel my body. And I've had that feeling before, but this one was intentional, right? So other times where I've had that feeling, it happened, but it wasn't intentional. But in this way, I was intentionally looking to open the records. So I sat in the records, in the space of the records for some time. And there's two basic questions in the course that we're asked. The first time we're open it, we're asked to do. The first question that we're asked to do is, how do we, and correct me on this, but basically, how can we receive this information only? How can we receive and assimilate the information? And so the answer there that I had got was to trust what it is that you're receiving, meaning trust the highest, the way that I describe it anyways, is trust the highest thought process in that moment. And that actually that I've always been receiving this information. Right. And that's how I've conducted much of my life without kind of consciously knowing it.
Yeah.
But I've always had an ability in this life to trust that higher thought and that higher thought that comes in. And so that was really cool. And that experience of going, okay, that's what you want me to trust. Now, of course, I did have some doubt come into this process as well, which we'll talk about, because I do want to talk about the flip side of it. So I'll get into that as well, because I think it's important to acknowledge that. And then the second thing was, who are my masters? It was, you were kind of sort of asked to look around. And I had a couple people show up. One, my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who is... if you guys don't know, so we talked about Bhakti Yoga and being a Hare Krishna. So I'm a Hare Krishna. I'm a practicing Bhakti Yoga. A Vaishnava is what it's actually called from its roots in India. Vaishnava means follower of Vishnu. And after I had my profound awakening experience, it was actually when the Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra and Krishna consciousness really started to come into my life. So very synchronicitous there. So he was there. And his energy was very big in my life. Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book Laws of Success and who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. Much of my business style teaching, as many of you may know, I coach healers and coaches on how to generate more sales. So how to really tap into business as a way of healing, and how business can be a vehicle for transformation. And so Napoleon Hill was there for me. And then my grandmother who passed away many years ago, who was a very strict and staunch Catholic woman, was there. And so she showed up in that space as well. So it was really nice to, kind of be like, what's up, Granny? And connect there. So those are the people who showed up. Some of the doubts that showed up, of course, were, for me, well, these are things that I already knew. Mm-hmm. Right. So some of the questions that I asked, 2 questions based upon the program, I guess just to warm us up to the process. Right. Mm-hmm. I asked the 2 questions. I knew the answers already. So my doubt was, well, am I just making that up? I already know those answers. I already have inclinations of this, or I've already discussed this with you, Emily. So, so that was definitely a doubt that came up. Mainly the main doubt was, am I just making this up in my mind? Am I just recycling the impressions that are already in my mind? And so maybe you want to speak to that, Emily, and kind of have a discussion about that.
Yeah, absolutely, I do, because there are many layers to this process. So you discussed some of the, and forgive me for calling them more obvious layers, but they're more profound. There are even subtler layers to this process that you're growing in that you might not even recognize. And one of the ways, Nick, that we learn to distinguish the differences between where the energy is coming from is, did you notice the difference between when you were getting the energy or getting the answers that felt like the highest answers, that felt like things you already know, but you felt the vibrational quality of them, and did that feel very good and high?
Yeah, good and high. Yeah,
I don't want to feed you while you're on the stand, but I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? Like when we're tuned into that energy, we notice that. Okay, so when you felt the doubt and you're like, yeah, well, I don't know, I already know this. Do you feel the subtle frequency, more dense vibration? Yeah. So while there are some very surface things that you're getting because you're asking some direct questions and you're getting the answers to those things, you're also in the subtext of what's going on, your vibrational frequency is attuning to understand the difference between those vibrational energies. And that's an important component that I don't directly tell you that I'm teaching you that. But when you allow the experience to unfold, everybody experiences doubt. That's how you can allow the doubt to assist you, because it feels different than that highest vibrational frequency energy. So you know that when I'm in that, that's not the space where the good stuff comes through. So I have to just set it aside. You just got to set it aside. And it gets easier to set it aside. The more that you do this and the more that you feel comfortable in the space, that it's part of the process, but it's there to teach you. It's, like I said, the difference of the subtle energies, because being able to understand what it is that you're feeling is an important thing. And generally we just feel what we feel. We don't go through the time to understand what it is that we're feeling or how it's affecting our body. So this brings a lot of awareness to your energy field. And that is a big prerequisite to learning how to really use the Akashic Records in some profound ways, is you have to learn to really fine tune working with the subtle energies, and you have to get better at it, which is why we work on building those things in the first course. I want to also address what you talked about feeling like you already know this information. If any of you, and a lot of my students have experienced that as well, it's a great sign, because you're coming to this process with a level of connection that is not going to be new to you. We're going to teach you how to fine tune it. Like you said, how to consciously get there and to know that it's working for you. But you can take that as a sign that you're already tuning into very high levels of frequency and wisdom. And the truth is, you're a radio frequency. You're tuning in somewhere at every moment in your life. Every single one of us are doing that. So those of my students who come to the course and have that experience, I'm like, well, right on. That means that on some intuitive level, on a natural level, you're already tuning in and seeking high levels of wisdom. Once we bring awareness to it, regardless of how much we're doing it in our life, we're going to have improvement in that area. But some people do come to me with a history of a more elevated awareness in their life. We all have different levels based on our karma of how elevated our awareness is of where we're tuning in, where our energy is dialed, where our frequency is dialed at every moment. And it's a serious learning process. I can say there have been points in my life when I was completely unaware. And then once I began to have awareness, I was really fascinated by it, because it gave me so much personal power to be able to have that awareness of myself and to make that growth, that my growth became very quantum through that process. There's one more question in there, Coach Nick, that's in that first one, I think. Isn't there the question, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you actually went through that recording more recently than I did of that class. Don't you ask, why am I being called to the records at this time?
Yes, you do. Yes, that was another question. That's a good one.
That's a good one, because that's something that I don't think anybody examines as deeply or as consciously at that point. Why am I here? Why am I being called to this at this time?
Yeah. And so the answer there for me was to actually, why am I being called to the records, was actually, the answer was to, and again, I am losing my words here, but is to almost like confirm. So the answer for me was like a confirmation. You're being called to the records to confirm what it is that you already know. And I think more than confirm, so I'm clair knowing. What's that word?
Cognizant.
Cognizant. So I don't really hear things. I don't visualize things. I kind of feel things. So I have that ability, but I'm really just, I have a knowingness. Like I just get knowingness. And so the knowingness was that you're here to trust the light body. You're here to continue the trusting that you are actually spirit and not the body. And the more that you trust that, the more that all of your practices will be enhanced. Mm-hmm. And so that was the answer that I got. I'm just being called to confirm and to trust the process even further. And the more that I trust and surrender to the process, then beautiful things will happen in all ways.
Another thing that I really love that you shared before we went on air, I think actually you might have shared on air too, was that you did in the very beginning. You were talking about that vibrational quality that you were feeling about like raising up, or you didn't call it raising up. I identified it as raising up, where I've had that experience before where I've been meditating, and it's interesting because like I felt my energy rising up and floating up, and I felt like a clay pot underneath my energy. So it's really cool to be able to experience those subtle energy frequencies and how they move us. So here's another cool thing that happens, you guys, is that when you show up in the presence of people who are doing this kind of work, and even though Coach Nick is new to the process of understanding the records and opening the records, he holds profound vibrational frequency in terms of the knowledge and the wisdom and the level of healing that he brings into this planet. I know from my own experience and opening my records, like I have examined and asked so many different questions about understanding what I'm here to do for other people. And I know that one of the energetic gifts that I use with my intention is to hold a profound space and amplify that energy so that you can feel it. And so that's what I'd love to do right now for all of you guys, just here with Coach Nick and I. Let's just take a few moments and move into a meditation with the purpose of being able to have more acute awareness of the subtle vibrational frequencies. Now, for Coach Nick, he felt his hands disappear, right? For me, sometimes I get that clay pot thing and I rise up out of my head, or sometimes I feel like the tingling in my scalp. Whatever it is that you feel, we're holding that space for you to have an individual experience. The purpose is just to have an experience. And even if your experience is dull to nothing, that's cool too. Sometimes it takes some time. Like I said, one reason our brain short circuits for a while after we've been in this space or we're doing it is because our frequencies are learning to hold a higher vibrational energy. And sometimes that takes a while to happen within our body to be able to feel it. So just trust. Okay. So we're just going to go through the practice of anchoring our central column of light that houses those main chakras that our life force energy runs up and down into Mother Earth, into the space of the ether, the Akash. Akash is a Sanskrit word that means ether. It's primordial energy. It's one of the 5 elements. It is the ether. It is the element from which the other 4 elements, earth, wind, water, fire, it all stems from the ether. You're going to plug into that space and consciously bring those energies into your body, into your light body. Even if you feel like you're pretending or you're using your imagination, just go with it, because you're going to have whatever needs to happen inside of your body, your light body, happen just by setting that intention and then going through this process. Okay. So I want you guys to sit up nice and straight. Close your eyes. Allow yourself to just move into a really soft and receptive state. That's very important, because if you're holding any tension in your body, you're not going to feel it. Deep breath in. And exhaling. And I want you to use your breath. We're going to program our breath right now to relax our bodies. Every breath is going to make our bodies softer and more receptive. Deep breath in. And exhaling. Moving into that very soft, receptive state. Locate any place in your body that you need to move your consciousness into and just release that place. Just let them. Exhaling, moving even softer with this breath. Opening, receptive. One more nice deep breath. And allowing this breath just to move you inward to a quantum state. And using your inner vision, I want you just to imagine, bring your awareness to seeing that crystalline column of light that runs up and down your spine. And with this next exhale, I want you to, with your intention, with your imagination, send that column of light like roots of a tree all the way down into the crystalline core center of Mother Earth. So moving it down through the crust of Mother Earth, down through the crystalline caves of Mother Earth, and anchoring deep into the liquid crystalline core center. And we're plugging into the 5D grids of Earth. These are not the old grids. These are the 5D paradigms, the upgraded Christ consciousness grids, the crystalline grids. In this energy, in this liquid crystalline energy of 5D Mother Earth, is encoded the vibrational frequency of unconditional love, of wisdom, of support. Mother Earth, Gaia, is here to support you. And for many reasons, we've held in our cellular memory and therefore replicated into our DNA that we're not supported, that we're in a struggle. So let's set an intention to shift that right now, because when we let go of that and when we tune into the support, we open ourselves, we open access to our multidimensional abilities, which can call awake, we can call forth our dormant DNA. So let's bring this energy up with your intention, with your breath, pulling up that magenta crystalline liquid energy, moving all the way back up through the earth. Feel it move into your feet, your ankles, your lower legs, your knees, your upper legs, your hips. Move it all the way up your body, move it all the way up to the top of your head, up the back of your neck. Let it sink down your arms, into your forearms, into your hands, moving all the way into your fingertips. Take a nice deep breath in. And just let yourself acclimate to this energy with your breath. Hold more of that Mother Earth energy in. Just set an intention that you're creating this space with your breath as you're pulling that energy in to adjust to these higher frequencies of Mother Earth energy. Awakening the dormant strands of DNA. These dormant strands of DNA are connected with our subdimensional layers of reality. So that those skills, those abilities that help us perceive the subdimensional layers of reality, what are those? Those are our psychic senses, our clairvoyance, our claircognizance, our clairaudience, our clairsentience. All of those things wake up. Good job. And now let's bring our awareness back to that central column of light. We're going to anchor it into the space of the Akash now. So sending it out the top of your head, moving it all the way up through the atmosphere, breaking through the Earth's atmosphere, passing the moon, passing the sun, passing the solar system. And when we do this, passing the galaxy, passing the other galaxies in our universe, when we imagine moving through space and time like this, what we're doing is we are moving through the different layers of consciousness. We're allowing our own human consciousness to escape through that physical structure of how we perceive the universe. We allow that column of light to come all the way up to that invisible force field between the physical universe and the Akash, the source energy. Just let yourself be there for one moment. And then with one more breath, summoning all of your strength and your willingness to open and expand. Extend that column of light into the space of the Akash. And just be in that space for a moment. Give yourself a moment to adjust to that frequency. So just be there. It's a very high vibrational frequency, so we have to give ourselves a moment to adjust. And there are a lot of us doing it here together, so the energy is pretty powerful. If you need help adjusting, you can call forward your guides, your masters, your light beings, your grandmother. My grandmother comes up for me too, to help hold that space for you, to help make those energetic adjustments in your energy field. And then when you're ready, I want you to open that column of light and allow that Akash energy to come spiraling downward. It comes down in a spiral of platinum, diamond, sparkling energy. It moves back down through the layers of space and time, and it starts entering into your light body through your soul star chakra. It's amplified there in your crown chakra. It's going to spiral down, move through your third eye, move through your throat chakra, the ascended heart, the heart, solar plexus, the sacral, the root chakra, spinning now down out your feet. You might be feeling that move through your body. It moves down through the earth star chakra, about 18 inches below your feet, and continues to move down until it sinks into the crystalline core center of Mother Earth. And again, just breathe. Notice anywhere where you're feeling the energy in your body. And now all we're going to do is we're just going to settle into this. We've got high frequency energies moving in. We've got this Mother Earth energy. We've got the Father Sky energy. We have your divine blueprint. And we have the synergy and the magnitude of all of us doing it here together. So let's just create some space to adjust to this higher frequency. And I want you just to move into whatever state of openness and receptiveness you need to be in. Just keeping your attention very focused on your breath. And just allow yourself to be present in this space. When we bring these energies into our light body, it doesn't matter if you're understanding or conscious of what's happening or not. You're receiving a powerful shifting, powerful upgrade. You are alchemizing one of the most powerful experiences of energy that you can bring into your light body, and it has its own consciousness. So this is going to allow for whatever growth, whatever expansion, whatever is divinely designed in your highest good along your path to unfold for you. But you have to learn to hold these frequencies in your being. You have to learn to understand these energies that we're feeling on many different levels. And it's such a privilege to be here and help you learn to understand, to hold them in your energy body, within your imagination, within your consciousness. Just giving yourself a few more moments just to be in that space. Let's challenge ourselves. Sometimes it can be difficult just to hold a state of awareness like this. Just challenge yourself to hold the state of awareness. It's like an isometric contraction when you're working out. If you're holding your breath like I just was, start breathing again. Good job. Before we release this meditation, let's just acknowledge the frequency of oneness, which is that we are all truly one. We're all reflective of each other. This is a reflective of a collective consciousness coming together to create space to understand our divine blueprint, not only from a singular aspect, but also from a collective aspect. So just honoring that space, that oneness, being in gratitude. And then when you're ready, take a nice deep breath in and release the meditation. You can put your hands together. You can do the Rina Dwelly. Just rub your hands together. Create some consciousness there inside of your hands. And then just put your hands over your face and allow that tactile process to bring you back to the present moment. Ooh, good job, everybody. You can move your body around just a little bit. How do you feel? Can you speak, Coach Nick? Or
I'm feeling good. Yeah, it feels nice. I'm definitely tired, overall.
Yeah.
And like I said, just kind of in a space of just quietness.
Beautiful. There's a lot of growth and expansion that happens in that space. It's generally not very conscious. It's generally more of a floating feeling. And the way it works in the process is it's really creating the space. It's where we create the space to receive whatever the next layers of understanding, of enlightenment, of awareness are. So it's a pleasure to be able to share with you guys some of the things. Sherry says, I'm back. Mm-hmm. Some of the areas where I've discovered that I have energetic giftings. And what's really cool is when you go through the process of the Akashic Records and learning to read your own, you understand your own unique giftings from such a more dynamic perspective. And every single person has them. So we shouldn't feel egotistical or ashamed about talking about them, because they're here to help us. They're here to help the planet. And that's one of the areas where I have grown and expanded, is learning that I hold that frequency. And when you are working with me, I create space, and my intent is to create easy access for you so that you feel it, so that you get an amazing experience moving through this process. And I love that in what that I experienced being able to hold that space open for people. Nick, what do you think some of your gifts and skills are? I know you haven't dove in really deeply into uncovering those yet, but are you getting any inklings of like deeper understanding of how you intuitively just like dive in and open it up for people?
Well, I think that ultimately, I give people encouragement. When people are around me, they feel energized about their projects, about what they're doing, and able to remove limitations and blocks through instilling courage within people, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's why, the idea of being inspiring or motivating or any of these type of roles is really comes from an energetic ability to give people energy, basically transfer energy to them so that they have like fuel. So that's maybe a way to describe it.
You just had badass telepathy right there too, because that's exactly what I was seeing and feeling and what the words that were going through my mind. You're incredible at the gifted influence, and that's part of that as well as that ability to transfer energy, because you're transferring inspiration to people, and it is so damn fun. I was like, damn, and then I tried to correct myself. I wanted to be a little more PG, but it is really fun to hang out inside of this space because we're both bringing such dynamic aspects to growth. And then our community shows up and grows like it's so fun. It's so fun. I mean, look at the spirit sessions, ladies, and their amazing guests that they have this week.
Yeah.
Kind of growth is reflected all over our membership community. So guys, if you're excited about checking out more, becoming a member for $11.11 a month, are you kidding me? Click the sign up button at the top of this page, at the top of the Akashic Academy Facebook page. We invite you to share this page out with your family, with your friends. This is a movement where you can plug in and trust that you're becoming the best version of yourself. And you have the most amazing support while going through that process. And we invite you to join us inside of this space. Thanks for hanging out. We ran super duper over today, so I'm going to wrap up and finish up. Coach Nick, thank you again for sharing your journey. This is a deep process, and I would completely understand if you were like, hey, I'm not even talking about that on the air. And you might get to those things too, but at this stage, please, I just want you to know I'm really grateful that you're willing to be open and share your experience because it's deep.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good day, everybody. We'll see you again.